Well, I'm back. So first off, hello again. Again, for those who don't know, my name is Chris Sharp. I'm also Sharpino on this channel. I just want to say a couple of things. First off, I want to thank those who have checked out my last video. The support that you guys have shown for me making that video is really appreciated. There was so much going into this video that I just really needed to just make that video. Like I said in the last video, if you haven't watched it, go ahead and check it out. I'll leave a link for it down below. But there was a lot for me going in that video where I felt like I needed to address these sort of things, where I had to address this situation. So, what I want to say to you guys is that, thank you guys for saying, great video, thanks for putting the information out there, because not a lot of people had access to the information. It's all cool. Now, to those people who don't agree with my video, or those who didn't believe that what I was saying was valid, that's fair enough, okay? I want you guys to understand that that is okay if you guys have a difference in opinion to what I believe. When I put content out, when I say something, I don't expect everyone to follow me like the Bible, okay? I don't expect people to just take my word for it and that is the truth, and there's no arguments against it. I'm not very tyrant. I'm not like a tyrant like that. A tyrant would be like that, where they believe that their word is God and that's it. There's no other room for to look at it, like there's no room for exploring what the truth is behind it. But over the last couple of days since I've made the video, a lot more evidence has come out. Now, Decada, we've already finished that off. Decada's done. Now, Mudkip Mama, apparently, she's done too. So there's been evidence against her that, there's been submissions or confessions from people in the Pokemon community that says that they were kind of, they were being approached by her and that she was, hitting them up for sexual things. And to me, that's very sexual predator behavior. That's just me. So, I really don't appreciate that at all. I mean, look, sexuality, that's a different ballpark, okay? Everyone's entitled as an adult to do what they feel satisfies their needs in that department, but never should you ever try to press that onto people. I mean, there's been evidence coming out from people on a fetish website of all things where it shows, she did all these weird things, and then it has DMs on Twitter showing that, she was hitting up people in the community to do things like Patters. She was hitting up to do things with him, and it was just like, well, why would you do that? Like, it's a very nasty thing to do. So pretty much that's been put to bed. So both Decada and Mudkip Mama are confirmed sexual predators, and they're both gone. Now, the crux of this all is the TheKingNappy. Is he a sexual predator? Well, after watching this video and looking at all the evidence that has come to light, I believe so. I believe he's a sexual predator. And if after looking at all this evidence and you still believe in Nappy, I don't know what to say for you. I really don't. Because, again, I'm not saying you have to believe what I say, but looking at the evidence and the admissions from people in the community, I would find it hard to believe that you didn't believe that, is what I'm saying. So, let's get right into it. First off, we're here on the social blade for the TheKingNappy here, and guys, since all this has come out, let's have a look. He has lost almost 15,000 subscribers, which is mind-boggling in itself, because it's just a lot of subscribers to lose. And look, at this point, it's going to continue. Remember I said in the last episode that he has over 500,000 that could be subject to change? This is the proof. People have been unsubscribing and, shit. If people really thought he was innocent, would they be unsubscribing? Wouldn't they be supporting the Nappy Nation, so to speak? So, but we can always go ahead and check on his Twitter. Apparently he made a response to address this. I do recall. So let's go ahead and check out his Twitter. Oh wait, he deleted his Twitter. Now, I don't know about you guys, but remember when I said last video that, you know, Decatur took the blacklist notion where he removed himself from the internet because it was guilty and it was proven he was guilty? Kind of ironic, but after Nappy calls out Nathan for doing this, he does it. You know, like, it doesn't bode well for him that... I mean, look, at the Philly Beats You, he did get the snippets. I actually got some snippets as well. But what I find so ironic about this is that Nappy would call out on Nappy for Nathan, Decatur, for leaving the internet and leaving him to pick up the pieces. And he kind of is guilty of doing the same thing. Maybe not in the same level of degradedness, but in some essence, it's still degrading nonetheless. And I mean, Mudkip Mama, she should be able to respond to this as well. I mean, shit, if I was called a pedo, and I mean, I had evidence to show for it, fuck, I'd show it. So let's go and check her Twitter. Oh, her Twitter's gone too. Again, it's this kind of behavior that gives people the idea that they're guilty, okay? And if you're really that innocent, would you not want to defend yourself or have evidence to show that you are in fact innocent? This is what I'm trying to tell people, okay? Now, a lot of people gave shit to Game Boy Luke and Callum because they both came out and they had not enough evidence to really back their claims. And you know what? Nappy thought the same way as well. You know, he thought at one point, like, you know, they can't touch me, you know. At this point, his stream had a lot of deflecting, a lot of bullshit in that one. Now, if you guys still want me to do that video where I look through his analysis video, leave a comment down below and tell me to do that. But if not, I'm going to leave it alone because I think after today's video, I think that all the allegations against Nappy will be confirmed. Now, I'm not saying again that you have to believe that what I'm saying is true, but the evidence speaks for itself. So let's get straight into it. So first off, big shout out to @PhillyBeatsYou because he has been on this story for the whole thing. Like, he's been taking screenshots, he's been taking, you know, retweeting of the information. I've been doing it as well on my Twitter. If you guys want to check out my Twitter @Sharpino1990, you know, I've been keeping up on this as well, like keeping all the screenshots, retweeting all the evidence and all that. So let's have a look. So, as I said in the last episode, now someone corrected me on this. Now, I said that, you know, Keemstar was making a video on it, and someone corrected me and said, well, that tweet was back in 2012, which, as you can see right here, this little retweet that he has here was actually from back in 2012. And looking at this now, you know, he said tried him out in 2012, and yeah, I don't know. I really feel like he should be able to have that on him now to say, well, he can compile a story now, because I think Kotaku came out with an article talking about this, and I think it's in his Twitter as well. So let's go ahead and just continue on here. So let's have a look here. So this is all the information here, but let's just get to the bulk of the things here. So let's just go to where I want to draw your attention to first, okay? So even his Instagram, so have a look here. So his Instagram is also locked as well. So his photos and all that is now private. And, you know, it's kind of crazy how, you know, if someone really had, you know, all the evidence to say that they were innocent, you know, why would you delete the evidence? Now I'm just trying to find. Okay, so here's Nappy's official statement. So let's just read his statement. So this is the last tweet he did, and then a couple hours later he did delete his tweet. So let's read his last statement, his last tweet, so to speak. I know I've been absent as of late since all these situations have developed, and I know that doesn't help support my side of things. Well, that's true. I mean, like I said, if you were innocent in all this and you had evidence to prove you're innocent, you would have shown it. You know, not just discuss, deflect, and bounce off people. Like that's why I feel like his Twitch stream, that's all he did. You know, he talked about his beef with Mo, he talked about the UCL of all fucking things. Like, of all the things, when you're being accused of being a pedo, you bring up the UCL. It's just a very weird thing to bring up in the midst of it all. And even when he did touch on Game Boy Luke and Callum, it wasn't the bulk of his discussion. The bulk of his discussion was everything other than that. I think he spoke about Callum for like 2 minutes and Game Boy Luke for like 5-10 minutes. And that was it, of his 2-hour fucking response video. But we digress. I took a step back from all online interactions to give myself a chance to reflect and recover, regardless of how you see the situation. All of this is very intense and draining for those involved. Now, I do believe that. Now, all victims and all people involved I would definitely say this has definitely taken a toll on things. And for those people who say, this was happening years ago, why didn't they say something? Well, guess what? That's irrelevant. At this point, it's now out in the open. So why does it matter how long it took for that information to get out there? The fact now is that it's out there now and people have to address it. That's my point of it. Now, yes, they probably could have said something sooner, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. We're here now. We know the facts now. We know the situation now. What difference does it make trying to say that, they regret the past, they should have said something? Well, who cares? It's here. So, one thing I want to make clear is that the words I spoke on stream are the truth, at least from my perspective. Now, that's a very interesting point, at least from my perspective. So, at least he's admitting that this is his truth. This is not the truth, it's his truth. So, again, it's not to say that, people who believe in Nappy have to believe his Twitch stream video like it's the gold. And those who disagree with it to say that some of it is true, some of it's not. So, see from that what you will. When I say that, I mean in a majority of these situations, I was making decisions and acting upon what I felt was right at the moment in time. Whether that was trying to be a good friend to someone going through things, a lost person seeking clarity, or someone attempting to be a close friend when we were both in need and had nobody else. Now, again, this is where I feel like the whole predatorial, manipulative behavior comes into play, because it's like, you look at Callum's statements and he was saying like, he felt lonely and he didn't have any friends, and, Nappy kind of, well, he said, I have feelings for you now, and now it's, you date me or I don't hang out with you. And at the time, Callum was a young guy and, he wanted to make friends and he didn't want to lose his friendship group. So he felt pressured into being in a relationship with Nappy to maintain his friendship circle, if that makes sense. So, it's a very difficult situation. I could see from both sides of it. I could see from Nappy, like, if you have feelings for someone and you want to remove yourself from it, that's fine. But don't pressure someone into dating you like that, though. That's bullshit. I call bullshit on that. Anyway, so we have the next part of it. These actions and decisions I made were never rooted in any sort of malice or ill will, just that of a person navigating through life with his friends at the time. With my explanation, I'm not attempting to deflect blame in any of these situations. Well, clearly you were, because you were throwing every other PokeTuber under the bus of your friends, like Mo and Nexus, because you were saying that, that's the thing I want to point out. The whole point, I think, of his UCL discussion, talking about how it took months and all that, I think what he was trying to do was try to make himself appear like a better person because he got shit done. And, okay, yes, that does make you a good person, but it doesn't eradicate the bullshit that you've done, though. Let's just clarify that, okay? And I think what he was trying to do was just really discredit Mo. Really, this was just the main bulk of it, because he was so shocked at Mo's, or I would say bottled up reaction to something as, in his eyes was just over a sleep block, which I don't think is true. I'm sure there was something else going on there other than just saying how much he hates sleep blocks, because if someone says they hate something, I'm not going to go fucking at you, Over the past few days, I've reflected back on things and I'm reminded of a conversation I had where I was unable to see things from a friend's perspective. I was told, regardless of how you feel about it, you still help those closest to you. That is exactly how I feel now. Now, I actually like this part in Nappy's statement, because if someone is hurt in a situation, you can't convince them to not be hurt. They just feel hurt in this situation. So if someone feels affected negatively from a situation, no amount of convincing from you can change how they feel. Unless you can, think in an optimistic way of how to look at the situation. But in this situation, if they feel hurt or they feel offended, you can't tell them, don't feel offended, don't feel sad, you can't tell someone how they feel. That's just how they feel. Will they eventually change their feelings? Probably. But you can't convince them by just telling them, stop feeling like this. Stop it now. You can't do that. So I'm left at a crossroads of whether I can stand and fight, defend myself, nitpick and pull out every little detail, which ultimately I don't see helping the situation in any manner. Actually, that would help in this situation, because, again, if you're claiming that these are lies, and if you're claiming that these allegations are false, then wouldn't you want to validate yourself and prove yourself innocent by having your evidence? Because, put it this way, if I was being accused of being a predator or a paedophile, and I had evidence to show that I could prove myself innocent, why wouldn't you do it? Because think about this logically. If you have the evidence to prove you're innocent, why wouldn't you show it? If you have the evidence to prove that you are not something of a negative nature, why wouldn't you show it? And I think this is where I think it comes into play, that I believe that the evidence in this situation outweighs Nappy's, I would say, will to fight it, or disprove it, so to speak. Because like I said, throughout the video we'll go through it, but there's actually more information since I made my video that has been come to light that would show you guys that, you know, this is what happened. Or I can recognize the harm I've caused, intentional or not. Now, I like this part where it says intentional or not. So he's suggesting here, this is my opinion anyways, just remember guys, this is my interpretation of this. It's not to say that you have to take my word for it, but recognize the harm I've caused, intentional or not. So that would suggest to me that some of the harm he did was intentional. Because if you're saying intentional or not, that would insinuate that there's a for or against. There's a good and a bad. So in this case, he's suggesting that there may have been some harm that he intentionally did, and there's some harm that he did unintentionally. You know, he's saying there's a bit of both. So, you know, I don't know what to think about that. I mean, that to me in itself would suggest that he knew or he did something intentionally in some essence, in some shape or form. Throughout all these years, he has done something, at least one thing, to someone where it was intentional. So regardless of what's said and done, I would like to apologize for all those involved, all those who have felt any sort of pain or hurt from the situation. I'm more than mature enough to step up and apologize to those who have been harmed by my actions in the past. And this is the concrete proof right here. You don't apologize unless there's a reason to apologize. It's like going to court. You don't say you're guilty if you're not guilty. If you're guilty, you say you're guilty. How do you plead? Guilty. Why? Because you are guilty. So in this case, to apologize, either one, he actually does acknowledge he did something wrong, he's apologizing for it, or two, he's only saying this to save his image and say like, look, I'm sorry, you know, this is just what it is, you know. So to say sorry to me would suggest that there is something to feel guilty of, or something that you should feel like you've fucked over someone in some way. As I mentioned before, I promise you all no choices were ever done with malicious intent or as an attempt to manipulate anyone. Again, evidence today will say you did actually try to manipulate people. Gamer Luke, Callum, and actually Gabe / Stormy at Stormy Kingdra. But we'll get that. We'll get to that. Even Tricky Wee as well. Also, we'll get to that. To those, hearing and seeing these perspectives of those involved hurts my heart, and I wish there was more I could do to rectify the problem. To those who used to consider me a friend, I still wish that we could have spoken on things more thoroughly as they happened. I truly and honestly never thought that any choices I made or advice given were seen in the light that they were presented. So, you know, he's trying to say that, you know, he's all his, well, now ex-friends, if not still friends, you know, he said he wished he could speak about it. But again, it doesn't matter. That it's out in the open now, so what point is it saying, well, he should have said something sooner, or he should have told someone else sooner? It doesn't matter. It's here now. From now, though, I'm going to continue to reflect and place myself in healthy environments. That's what I believe is the absolute best for me now. That does include me stepping back from content creation of all kinds for the time being. For viewers and fans, I apologize to you as well. I know a lot of you all looked up to me as someone who helped you through dark times, offered laughs and enjoyment, and so many of you saw me as a friend as well. None of you asked for any of this, and you don't deserve it either. Now, I think, again, this is where I'm going to agree with Nappy here. I don't feel like this should have been put out there. Now, but at the same time, to spread awareness, they kind of had to do it. Like, I think what people were getting at is that when Nappy was calling Nathan out for his shit and was being hypocritical about it, in their eyes, he's been hypocritical about it, that's when they decided to out Nappy and say, no, fuck you. You've done shit just like Decadent. Maybe not as bad as what he has done, but in the same light, it's fucked up. So I think that's why Game Boy Luke and Callum all came out to Twitter. Now, whether it was the right thing to do, I don't know, because that could be up for debate. In my absence, I hope you can find solace in other content creators. There are so many talented people out there that deserve your support. One day my path may cross yours again, and hopefully we'll all be in a better place. For now, though, I offer my thanks to all those who have supported me over the years, and again, my apologies to all those involved. So that was the very last tweet that Nappy ever did before he deleted his Twitter. So what have we learned from this? Well, we have learned that Nappy does admit that there may have been some things he may have done ill will or intentionally harming people, and some things he hasn't done intentionally. And because, again, you don't apologize for something if there's nothing to apologize for. If you're really innocent, you won't apologize. And again, he would apologize only to admit he did something wrong and he's trying to own up to it, or he's only saying it to save face. But considering he's removed stuff from the internet, we can rule that out because he's removed himself from the internet. Now, whether that means he's going to come back as a content creator, I don't know. But something tells me he might come around when Sword and Shield come online, because, guys, you've got to remember, he's been doing this for almost 5 years. This has been his, you know, he makes a living off this. So, I mean, unless he decides to get a job where it's good paying money, as opposed to where he gets paid now. Because, I mean, I've looked at his Social Blade. I mean, he makes decent money. I mean, this is just from his videos alone. That's not including ads and all that. But, I mean, he's made a consistent living off doing YouTube. So he would have to find some source of income to help support him in this essence. So considering that he has done YouTube for so long, you know, I really don't see that he would give it up so easily unless he was just trying to let the wounds heal before he jumps back online. I don't know. So that's just the first part of it here. Now let's move on to this next part of it. Now this is the evidence that's going against Nappy for, I would say, to prove that Callum and Nappy were in fact dating. Now, there's this YouTuber named Tricky Wee, who was a friend of Nappy's and Callum's and all, and Mo and all that back in the early days of Lemoy Station, which, if you guys remember, that was a big thing back in 2015 and all that. It was just a big group of Pokemon content creators, and they were all together and all this shit. So this is the statement. She says, "You want to prove? Here you go. Read from the start to finish." So this was all compiled in a Google document that, you know, we're going to go through it and I'm going to explain each piece as we go along. So, all evidence is compiled at the end of this document. Any Skype conversations shown in this breakdown are contained within a file located in my old computer's app data. We have been able to recover these conversations by using a program called Skype Log View. In short, before Skype saved conversations to the cloud, they were stored locally. So, I mean, I didn't even know you could do that, but I mean, hell, I mean, it's definitely a good thing to know. Using the program, we can view older conversations, which is why they are viewed in a strange format, unlike what you may be used to. Okay, so she's showing that they were able to get some actually old Skype messages, but they just look very convoluted. It looks very weird. But anyways, that's not the part of it that we're looking at here. So let's have a look at some of these conversations. So hang on. So let's actually have a look at some of these conversations that we have over here. So just give me 1 second. I'll just try to quickly open it up here so I can discuss with you guys. Because, like I said, guys, like this is what I want people to understand. I'm not doing this for my personal gain. Okay, I'm only doing this because people have asked me to make a video to make this video to address the situation. So I would hope that, you know, you guys can kind of see from my perspective that I'm not trying to be, you know, manipulative in any way. I'm just trying to just report what's come out. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I was just trying to blow it up, but because it's on Twitter and I can't save the screenshot, I'll just try to read what it says here. So the Skype message is there. If you want to read it, I'll go ahead and leave it up here on the screen here. So I will first begin to explain my side of the events of PAX South and what happened with Nappy and Callum, as well as some of the things Nappy addressed on his stream. Please take the time to read the full document since it's important to know what happened in conjunction with the Skype messages. So she's saying that, you know, all the Skype messages shows that, you know, it does prove that Callum does acknowledge Nappy as his boyfriend. So that would prove that they were actually in a relationship. So that goes into a lie to say that Nappy's on his stream where he says that, you know, him and Callum were just friends. Well, that's a lie. You actually were in a relationship. I originally wasn't going to post anything about the whole event concerning Callum, Nappy, Luke and Mo. However, I didn't like the lies that have been spread, especially since I was involved. First, I want to address that the people who came forward with their stories are not doing this just to start a whirlwind of drama. Thank you. So this is what I'm trying to say. Like, people don't post shit for drama. They don't post shit for attention. They don't post shit for... These people are posting these stories to get the message out there that, number one, being a sexual predator is not acceptable in any way. Abuse of any kind is not acceptable in any other way. And if you are going to do that sort of shit, you should be called out on it, because everyone has the right to know if you're going to be a scumbag human being, you know, that there's no place for you here in the Pokemon community. We don't welcome you here. Go find somewhere else to fuck with. Go somewhere else. A lot of manipulation took place, and many were too afraid to come out with what truly happened to them because it could be extremely scary or embarrassing to reveal such things. This possibly could have jeopardized friendships and careers. Why would they fabricate such a personal story with strong accusations just for drama? Why didn't they say anything sooner about this? Most victims take months or even years to get the courage to say anything at all, especially if the offender has a large following, because they will just send their white knights to attack them. Unfortunately, this happens a lot in both social media and in person, the Me Too movement. So she's just using an example that, because Nappy has such a huge following of, the Nappy Nation, basically what she's saying is that they would just send hate their way and all that sort of thing there. So I can understand why some people would be afraid to speak out against Nappy, okay? So, a reason why a lot of proof wasn't provided right away was because most of this happened at PAX South 2015 in January, and most of us no longer have the computer that had all the Skype logs. 2015, Skype isn't just Discord, it saves the conversations to the app data on your computer's hard drive. Many people are saying that none of this should have been posted on social media, and while I agree that most situations should be handled in private, this is not a small problem. We are discussing actual crimes here. Hiding this information would be more harmful, especially if it could happen again. We need to be protecting the children in the community. Also, manipulation, whether the person is above or under 18, shouldn't be tolerated anyways. And that, I think, is a very, very good statement right there, because, manipulation in any sense is fucked up in itself. If you're trying to manipulate someone to think a different way to benefit what you want, then that's stupid. That's fucked. And if people catch you on it, well then, fuck off. No one, I don't know, how else can I say that it is actually shit? You are being a shit human being if you're trying to manipulate someone. Real crimes with harmful repercussions should not be conflated with petty drama. And I think what she's saying is crime should not be considered drama, or crime should be mixed with drama. Also, no innocent person would feel the need to run away or hide from the situation. Why did Nappy remove the bit explaining his side of the story? And this is why I think a lot of people were really kind of at arms to go more further in against Nappy, because he removed his own video. He removed his only defense that he made himself to start looking at the situation. That makes absolutely no sense. That's a sign of guilt, and I know for a fact he's guilty. I was a witness. Nappy has done nothing to disprove any of the accusations around him either. And this is what I'm saying, that he has nothing to defend himself, or he just wants to get away from it all, It's not an abuser's job to provide evidence. This is flawed in my opinion. I believe in a case such as this, both parties are liable to provide evidence to prove their innocence. Taking the abuser's words at face value while simultaneously hounding the victims for proof is not a fair game. I have all the chat logs from 2015 revolving around my perspective of the story. I'll be including them here as well. Again, this isn't trying to tarnish anyone's name for drama. The truth just needs to come out. Keep in mind that most conversations that involve Nappy, Callum and myself took place in voice calls which we are unable to retrieve as they were never recorded. But I can show you the call history of when the calls took place. Nappy lied to his entire stream that him and Callum were never romantically involved. That is false, because they were indeed in a relationship. However, I didn't know until the final day of PAX South 2015. So this is what this whole Skype logs that I have here, they actually show that Callum does acknowledge Nappy as his boyfriend. So the fact that Nappy claims here that they were just friends is a falsity. It's a big fat lie. Alright, so I'll summarize what happened then. So this is Tricky Wee's version of the events that happened back then. Basically, I had a crush on Callum during the events of PAX South 2015, and we were mildly flirting here and there through Skype. At the time, Mo also had feelings for me, and was trying to figure out how to tell me about said feelings. I didn't reciprocate those feelings because of my crush for Callum, despite the entire community shipping and encouraging Mo and I to get together. This filled me with anxiety since I felt I was being pressured to be in a relationship when I didn't even want a relationship to begin with. Please note that Callum was 17, literally about to turn 18, during this time and was not present at PAX South. Okay. I had told Luke and Nexus, still at PAX, about my crush on Callum, and that was why I couldn't be with Mo. From the conversation, one of them told Nappy that had led to a conversation between him and I on the balcony of his hotel room. He mentioned in his stream that I was the one who initiated a conversation when it was actually him. Okay, so not saying that whether she brought it up or whether he brought it up has any relevance to this. I think the whole case in point is that once Nappy found out that, Tricky Wee wanted to be with Callum and not Mo, And I think Mo and Nappy were going back and forth, because I think Nappy did explain this in his video that, Mo said he had feelings for her, and, Nappy was like, dog, you got to do what you got to do. And then once I think he found out about this, and I think the fact that him and Callum were together, I think this is why Nappy took it upon himself to speak to Tricky Wee. Whether it was by him or by her, it doesn't matter. The fact is they talked. That is confirmed. He brought up that he knew about my crush on Callum and started asking questions. I honestly didn't know what to do, and Nappy told me that I could trust him and he could help. I just had to tell him everything. And remember, at this point, Tricky Wee didn't know that Callum and Nappy were both in a relationship. So at this point, Nappy's thinking, well, fuck, this is my boyfriend. She has a crush on my boyfriend, and this could jeopardize our relationship. That's just what it is. Yeah, bear in mind, Callum and Nappy were still together at this point, and they had no idea that the relationship began when Callum was just 16. So this is the point that I'm trying to bring across, is that Nappy did, in fact, he was the center of all this. He was with Callum, knew that Tricky Wee had a crush on Callum, saw her as a threat because if she showed feelings to Callum, and apparently they were both playing on Skype. Now, I don't know whether Nappy knew that or not, but the fact that they knew about it, or the fact that he knew about them being flirtatious with each other, yeah, that would make Nappy, well, if you felt threatened, I mean, shit, you would do anything to keep, your partner and all that. I mean, fuck. I mean, you'd be disappointed, but I think that he liked Callum too much to let him go to Tricky Wee. Nappy made me feel like I was safe just to pry information out of me. So, yeah. He had all the information she didn't, so go figure. From there, I showed Nappy chat logs between Callum and I on my phone, which include flirting. Aha, now this is where it gets interesting. He assured me things would be okay, but I had to choose between Mo and Callum by the next morning. He made it very clear that I had to make a choice as soon as possible, and while I was still felt safe since I told the truth, he did have a bit of an intimidating demeanor. Now, again, I think this is why everyone was saying, he is a bit manipulative in this way. So he pretty much told Tricky Wee that if you have feelings for Callum, go for Callum. If you have feelings for Mo, go for Mo. But I think at this point, Nappy, looking at the chat logs between her and Callum, it was proof that there was something there. And I think Nappy just did not want to give up Callum, or he was, at that point, once he found out Callum was going behind his back, flirting with Tricky Wee, that pissed him off. So, The next morning, Mo and I met up so I could tell him what was going on. I told Mo that I had a crush on Callum and I wanted to make sure things ended on a good note since we were all friends. We talked it out and it was actually a conversation that ended very well. Then Mo gets a Twitter DM from Callum saying he needed a new place to stay for the next convention, being PAX East. And you can see here on the right of this text here that there's a conversation reading from bottom to top where it says, Callum says to Mo, mind if I stay with you guys? Mo says, the room got filled. We added Shelby, and it felt terrible. Shelby is Tricky Wee. It's alright, I'll have to try to find someone else, Callum says. Mohi says, why, what happened? Callum says, I can explain when you get back, might just not go to East, lol. And Mohi responds with, okay, I'm really concerned, I'll hit you up after the night. So at this point, and this is where she goes into it, eventually Callum tells Mo that the reason why he needed a new place to stay was because him and Nappy were in a relationship, and he found out, unfortunately through me, that Callum liked me. So Nappy kicked Callum from his hotel room that they were staying in together at their next convention. So that was a pretty dog act of Nappy to kind of, use that information that Shelby gave him and fuck over Callum, Mo eventually tells me about the message, and we were both left extremely shocked. So now Mo and I are the only people besides Jamie, Mudkip Mama, leave that one alone, who knew about the secret relationship. After PAX South is when most of the confrontations occurred on Skype and Twitter. Mo, Callum and I spoke and things were supposedly mended between us. Eventually, as time passed, the calls got more angry and heated. After one of them, both Mo and Nappy proceeded to block me on Twitter. So this is where I think that Mo was saying he was being manipulated because, I think Mo was pissed off that Shelby was having feelings for Callum and not him. And because I think Mo really had a big crush on Shelby. So I think Nappy was getting to Mo's head saying, fuck this bitch, like she's got feelings for Callum, why are you wasting your time on her? Fuck this bitch. I'm not saying that's what happened, I'm saying this is what I'm assuming based off this information. Okay. So that is all the screenshots from that there. So basically, Tricky Wee is saying that, back then, they were in a relationship, and, Callum did have feelings for Tricky Wee, but he was in a relationship with Nappy, and unknowingly, Tricky Wee kind of shot Callum in the foot, I guess, but she didn't know that they were in a relationship, so she unintentionally gave Nappy the, I would say, the dirt on Callum to say, like, yeah, they were flirting even though they were together. And that to me would prove, this is the proof, well, this is part of the proof anyways, that Nappy does engage with people at 16. Now, minor is someone under 18. They can't drive, they can't drink, that's a minor. In this point, he's a minor, okay? So now that we've got that part of it, this is Tricky Wee's part of it. Now let's go over to this other this fan. His name is Gabe, also known as @StormyKingdra. Now this only came out from the time here, just about a day ago. But basically he's had evidence to show that both him and Nappy were both flirting and all this. And at the time of these conversations happening, he was 17. Again, being under 18, that is a minor. So let's just look at some of these conversations that happened here, okay? So see if I can try and find a good screenshot here. Okay, so now we have Gabe here. So, hey, my name is StormyKingdra, and I don't know how to say this, but I will try my best. These past few days have been extremely hard for me. A lot of things got turned on their head, and honestly, I don't know how to express my emotions. Anyway, to the point, last year, around early February, I was invited to a server known as the Prime Time server, which, as you guys know, that's Nappy server. There I met a community of people who I love and are absolutely amazing, but sadly I made some mistakes. From the first time I joined the call I was quiet and nervous, but later that changed. Shortly as I grew closer to these people, the closer I got to one person in particular. Besides the calls at night with the group, the TheKingNappy messaged me on the side. Excuse me. From the beginning I had a strange feeling and a feeling that I ignored. As time went on I could tell that it was a blatant flirting. At this point I had been in a relationship of any sort, but I knew that was going on. One night it got more serious when he messaged me asking me about my sexuality. At the time I was questioning it, and so I told him that I was bi. He then told me that he was as well, but not to tell anyone. He then later proceeded to tell me that I was gay and that usually people have a leaning of some sort, and that turns into your sexuality. Again, I was still confused and questioning it at the time, and I was 16, he was 25, but he insisted I was gay. And again, this ties into the manipulation part of it, where it's like, okay, he didn't know himself. He was at the time questioning himself on whether he was straight or gay. But Nappy was trying to say, you're gay. The fact that you have thoughts lingering back and forth is the fact that you're gay. It's 100%. It's not to say, oh, you could be straight and you might be wanting to be gay. No, you're definitely gay. You're definitely gay. And I think that's another form of manipulation that Nappy was trying to express in this kid. And again, this kid was 16, he was 25. And don't worry, I have screenshots of the conversation. Don't worry about that. I've got a screenshot. We continued to speak in DMs, and I've made the mistake of allowing it to continue. Surely enough, things escalated, and eventually we started to call and became even closer. And this is when I knew what his intentions were. I made a mistake, and eventually it led to something that I regret. About a year ago, we officially started dating. And for the first few months, it continued. Going back, I feel horrible for the way I allowed this to continue, and it is hard for me to confront the issue because I still hold blame upon myself. And again, just like Attack on Sylveons, the victims of this situation. Now, at the time he was 16, he's 25. He's the adult. He should fucking know better. You shouldn't be hitting up 16-year-olds. Like, Jesus Christ. He gave Nathan shit for doing this, and here he is doing the same fucking thing. You fucking hypocrite. Regardless, this continued, and content from flirtation to even talk to me about visiting him were thrown left and right. To be completely candid, this started because I idolized him and so many of the others in the community, and I wanted to be friends with them. Part of it was because I felt accepted and loved and generally happy by everyone, but I see now that he took advantage. During this time, we also discussed what has already been brought to light. I asked him about Luke and Callum, and he told me that he did have feelings for Luke, but more important factor was Callum. He told me that he did have feelings for Callum, and it was more than just a friendship. I don't have screenshots concerning this, but it was more than what he stated it was. And I think Tricky Wee kind of validated that with the Skype messages. So thanks Tricky Wee and Gabe and Philly B to you for bringing all this information to light. I think us as a community really appreciate it. I was unhappy with everything as this progressed. I spent nights crying and blaming myself for a countless number of things, and one day I left. I left all my friends and left the community I loved. I was happier with being around in real life people and not having this relationship to burden me. For a while I was able to refrain from coming back, but I missed the other people I interacted with and the overall atmosphere, and so one night I came back. This year, I came back and reconnected with old friends, but with that also came the reconnection of this relationship. Luckily, the second time it did not last long, but I was still lost, confused, and struggling with my own issues, and he took advantage of that both times. Looking back, I reciprocated the feelings. That is true, and again, I made that mistake, but I also think I was taken advantage of. Feelings developed because he coerced me them to, and I'm ashamed of it. Of course, it came of my own volition, and that's where I'm disappointed and dissatisfied in myself. I felt like I had people who I could confide in a community that I did not want to lose it. I would like to be clear that he came to me, not the other way around. While writing this message, I'm scared and worried of the repercussions, but I know it is the right thing to do. When he lied and hurt so many people in the process, I did not know what to do. And that was what I told him when he confronted me about it. I was so conflicted and spent a couple of sleepless nights wondering what I should do. I decided to confide in some friends, and from there I have worked up the courage to come forward today. I thank you all for that. I could not sit idly by and watch as people who did not deserve hate have their names dragged through the mud, and I had to prevent this from happening ever again. The issue is more than a habit, it's a pattern, and a pattern that I cannot be repeated by him or anyone else. I want to tell the truth and allow for people to really understand the actions that have gone on behind closed doors. It was in no way okay that this happened, and people shouldn't have to suffer from these actions. As a 17-year-old boy, I have to acknowledge that what has gone down on is heinous. I may have said yes and may not have said no, but regardless of the fact I was 16. It may only have been less than a year since now, but though this year I have been able to mature and see this fault. I do although want to make it perfectly clear that we are not dating anymore. There are so many more details and instances, but for the sake of my own well-being, I wanted to keep it brief. To the people surrounding this controversy, and even those watched it, I want to apologize. I have no ill will to any of you, but I have to talk about this so I can continue on with my life. I could not just remain silent while I watched others suffer. I want to apologize to all those I might have hurt or disappointed. I still feel disappointed in myself. I am scared and will continue to feel scared. Reflecting this has been hard but necessary, and now I've had the time to do so. All I would like to say is I'm sorry. So there is a lot going on here that just goes beyond providing evidence. This is now the third or fourth account against Nappy to show that he's manipulative, he coerces people, and he's in fact a predator. Okay? Now I have also got screenshots. I'll link you guys Philly Beats U's Twitter down below because his Twitter has all the information. I'll also link Gabe and Tricky Wee's Twitter as well because they have all the information that I just shared with you guys today. So what have we learned from all of this? What can I say? Well, what can I say is this, okay? Nappy is guilty. Nappy is guilty. Is he a pedophile? Yes. Nappy, Kyle McNeil, is a pedophile. Getting with someone under the age of 16, talking sexually with a kid under 18 is illegal. Okay? And a lot of people are using the argument of, oh, well, in Arizona, 18 is okay, and the UK is 16. It doesn't matter. If it's not okay in one country, it shouldn't be okay in another country. Legally, that's obviously a bit of a thing because laws are different in every country. But in general, you should not be messing with minors. And I think it's ironic that, Nappy has taken the route that he has because if he was innocent, he would try to defend himself. If he was innocent, he would try to prove himself innocent. And all I've seen so far is him backpedaling and backpedaling and backpedaling, right? He made a Twitch video for 2 hours, deleted it. Thankfully, someone was able to clip it all. I do have the video. If you guys really want me to look at his defense video, let me know in the comment down below if you really want me to. But since he has deleted his Twitter and since we've had another confession come out with evidence to show for it, I didn't feel it was necessary to do this. But if you guys still want me to go through his defense video, I have the video ready to go. I did get the video off YouTube and I have edited to have the audio synced. So if you guys want me to look at his defense video and tear it apart, let me know. But at this point, I think it is definitively proof. There is definitive proof, without a shadow of a doubt, that the King Nappy is a pedophile. That King Nappy did manipulate people. That King Nappy did in fact coerce people into getting what he wanted out of them, for so long. And I mean, look at the fallout. Even Twit responded on this saying he's disappointed in the person that he was closest to. He had no idea what was going on. Even JYT Gamer, he had no idea what was going on. And those guys have been friends for years and years. And even Twit, who is probably Nappy's closest friend, even says, what the fuck? And it's like, what more has to be shown to prove to people who follow Nappy that this is not okay? You shouldn't support this guy. This is why I no longer support him, okay? Nappy has lost so much from just some stupid fucking decisions. And for what? To get off on some shit? To try and date someone that you like? It just baffles me sometimes. I really question some people sometimes, Decada threatening to kill someone's family for exposing him. Vegas Jamie / Mutki Mama trying to fucking get with people in the most heinous of ways and the most disgusting of ways too. Okay? That's something you keep to yourself. You don't fucking put that on the internet for everyone to see. Okay? And the Nappy, you of all people, you the fucking head of it all. I do believe this is the end of the primetime era. But that doesn't mean it's the end of the Pokemon era. I think this is just the phoenix burning to the ground of the one Pokemon community. And now we have to rise from the ashes. Because, ladies and gentlemen, there are good people in the Pokemon community. There are a lot of good people. First off, to Callum, to Game Boy Luke, to Gabe, and to Tricky Wee. Thank you for coming out with your omissions. Thank you for coming out with your confessions and all the information that's been brought to light. From everyone in the Pokemon community, we thank you. Because you have exposed a monster that has been lying dormant for years. Even Attack Sylveon, thank you too. You definitely stepped up there and put Decada on blast, and that helped all this get brought to light. So, thank you Attack on Sylveon for making a video. Now, I would hope that people still don't believe this, and believe that Nappy is innocent in all this. Because all Nappy has done is defend himself, remove his defense, delete his Twitters, removed himself from everything else, and if you were innocent, you wouldn't do that. So just have a think about this, guys. Okay? Have a real think about this. Just sit and think about this. If you're innocent, wouldn't you prove your innocence right away? Or if you're really that guilty and you can't find the evidence against you, what do? You run away. That's exactly what Nappy did. When he couldn't face the heat, he ran away. And there's no forgiving for that. There's absolutely no forgiving for that. So, Nappy, get fucked.